Hello, good people. This is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker, coming back at you live from the Lone Star State with another edition of the Media Mike Speaks. Well, good people, the Democrats are at it again. This time with climate change. And the word is lockdowns may be on the horizon. Now, this comes to us from the conservative Beacon Post. Now, I know many of you may not know this, but this probably will happen. We're not totally for sure, but behind the scenes, we do know that Sleepy Joe and his administration are doing something. So, this all started because of the sizable number of lockdowns that took place last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the lockdowns seem to have hurt more than they actually helped, which is true. Schools remained closed for an entire year, and this had a serious impact on the development of little ones. It did, of our youth. Their social development skills took a major hit during the past year or so, and drug usage and some degree of suicides also had dramatic spikes. See, people don't know this. The damage that was done to the economy is hard to quantify at this point, but it is going to have to be unpacked as soon as possible. The people who are angling for further lockdowns right now do not realize they are flirting with disaster. Now, this is where we're going to get to where, trust me. Now, Psaki did say that no more lockdowns due to the COVID, but we're going to get to where they're probably looking at, lockdowns. So, as you saw in the thumbnail, these are all things that we already know. But now the far left has come up with a whole new angle to beat it into the ground. You see, the Democrats have realized that all of our decreased activity is appealing to scientists and climate researchers. Carbon emissions dropped significantly as less and less people were out on the roads, driving to and from work each day. You see, that was a test. Everyone said it was a test. Who were looking at this saying that if the people let them do this, that's going to tell them what they will do later. And we didn't think about the climate. I mean, people should think about this. See, since the government was able to institute lockdowns so quickly during a moment of duress, there are many who are worried that they will do the same if climate change begin to cause real issues. You see, many liberals have already claimed that we are in the midst of another emergency, and how long before the government takes them up on this insanity. Now, let's take a look here. Under a potential climate lockdown, governments and public health bodies could exercise similar authority to enforce sweeping changes to environmental and energy policy. This could entail extreme energy-saving measures such as limits on private vehicle use, consumption of animal products, and fossil fuel drilling. Now, good people, according to the Wall Street Journal a few years ago, California vows to end all gas vehicles by 2030. This was backed up by Sleepy Joe Biden, who vows to ban all fuel emission cars by, you guessed it, 2030. 2030. It's coming, good people. Now, if climate activists were allowed, this is a quote here, they would take us from COVID lockdowns straight into climate lockdowns. Now, this is coming to us from junkscience.com founder Steve Milloy. He goes on to say here, now that they've seen arbitrary lockdowns successfully imposed under the guise of a public health emergency, they can't wait for federal, state, and local declarations of a climate emergency to achieve the same sort of dominance over us, unquote. That's something to think about. They said it won't go back to COVID-19 lockdowns or corona lockdowns, but climate change lockdowns. See, we went through something like that in Texas this past year, where pretty much most of the southern region was hit with that massive ice snowstorm. So anyway, the government is never going to pass up a chance to exert their dominance. Joe Biden loves to make use of his executive orders, and it won't be long before he's devising ways to send everyone inside. Pipeline projects are being shut down, and Biden is extending his tentacles in every direction possible. The possibilities are endless for the liberals now. They can lean on the government as hard as they need to and act like lockdowns are for the greater good. we could easily see some sort of ban when it comes to non-essential travel. The liberal wish lists are only going to get more and more ridiculous. Yes, there will be a major uproar from the right wing, but the liberals won't care. They do not mind as long as they are getting their way. In fact, we're not going to be surprised when emergency starts to get tossed around a lot more casually. Look for that word, good people, emergency. We know that this is not going to happen tomorrow, but we are more than sure that Biden and company are giving it a lot of thought. So what do you think, good people? Could this happen? I don't know, but it just may be so. Now, we have gone from Corona to COVID to Delta to now Mu. From shutdown to lockdown, to vaccinated to unvaccinated, having a showdown. And soon, we just may have to be in by sundown. This is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker. Subscribe, share, and like to keep me rocking on the mic. Have a good night.